And I consider you to be a great teacher of mine. I was mentioning before that I met you about 7 years ago at the steps of the Vedanta Center in Santa Barbara. And, my life has been kind of just that, these sort of divine encounters, mostly in my dream state. I would have dreams of Lahiri Mahasya, not knowing who Lahiri Mahasya was. I was like, oh, he looks like this yogi, a very wise man. And I would have tons of those experiences that felt extremely real. And I believe they are real in another way. And some of those encounters also are with powerful teachers in this physical reality. And you are definitely one of them. And I remember that meeting because the speech that you gave, I was sharing you before, that it was kind of that seed to start me on that path of that direct path. Swami Sarvapriyananda has been the minister and spiritual leader of the Vedanta Society of New York since January of 2017. He joined the Ramakrishna Mission in 1994 and received sannyasa in 2004. He was also the assistant minister of the Vedanta Society of Southern California. In 2019 to 2020, he was a Nagral Fellow at the Harvard Divinity School. And he's also a very well-known speaker on Vedanta and has tons of incredible YouTube videos, which I watch daily, and they're extremely popular globally. He's also been a speaker on various forums, TEDx and Google Talks and so forth. And he's engaged in dialogues with many eminent thinkers. One of my absolute favorite videos is yourself and Rupert Spira. I think it's one of the most incredible ones that I have ever seen, and I refer to that a lot, as well as Deepak Chopra, Rick Archer, David Chalmers, Sam Harris, and others. And you also have some ebooks. So your talks have been compiled into some ebooks that are also available. Who Am I? What is Vedanta? Dissolve into Infinity. So with that, I want to welcome you to the show, Swami Sarvapriyananda.
Thank you for having me. I'm delighted to be here.
Thank you so much. And I was sharing to you before, Swamiji, that part of my work is helping leaders and teams and organizations around the world. And I create programs. The heart of everything that I do is really based on that question, who am I? And what we call that direct path. And so a lot of people might not be familiar with what Advaita Vedanta is. What is the concept of non-duality? And I would love it if you can share kind of in a relatable way what that path is and what is Vedanta.
All right. The crucial thing is, as you said, in a relatable way.
Yes.
So I have to give you a non-standard answer. The standard answer would say this is the Upanishads, and it's based on the Upanishads and the commentaries of Shankaracharya and so on and so forth. But we won't go down that path. What we'll do is Advaita Vedanta, basically what it does is it turns our attention from the world to ourselves and then explores what we are. And therein, according to Advaita Vedanta, lies the solution to all our problems. So what do I mean by that? When I'm looking at something, looking at maybe a tree. So our first reaction is, that's a tree. Now, what the Advaita teacher would tell us is that all, or is it more accurate to say that you are experiencing, you are seeing a tree? And we go, yep, that's a more complete description. So it's not just a tree. It's a tree in my awareness. I am seeing it. What is this awareness which enables me to experience a tree, a person, a dog, a problem, a solution? So our entire attention all the time is focused on our experiences, the world, as our people, as we experience them, or even ourselves, the objects of our experiences. Almost never do we turn back to see who or what it is that is experiencing. And what it is that is experiencing is awareness. It is awareness, consciousness shining through the mind and the senses, experiencing this body, this personality, and the world. Advaita Vedanta turns our attention back to awareness. What good does that do? First of all, it shows us that we are not just one limited person among millions of other. There's just this body, just this aging, diseased, inevitably dying body, or just this person, one person who has so many problems, frustrations, demands. But we are awareness in itself. The body, the mind, the thoughts, the problems, they're all objects to awareness. So the first thing that it does is, it shows us we are awareness, not the body mind. Second thing it shows us is that there's a gap between this awareness and everything else. Everything else is an appearance to this awareness. We see that just as instead of saying it's a tree in my awareness. It's a person in my awareness. Even my own personality is in awareness. Without awareness, there is nothing. So it opens up at least a psychological gap between you and your problems. You are not defined by your problems. A great non-dual master said to a person who had come with a lot of problems, I am not interested in your problems. Now, that sounds cruel. I'm not interested in your problems. I'm interested in you. Now, you see, that opens up a gap between you and your problems. What sort of gap is it? Precisely, if you put it that way, awareness and its objects. Nice or not so nice, problematic or not problematic, all of them are objects floating in your awareness. And then Advaita Vedanta proceeds further. So this is something that it's something that we're already all experiencing. The beauty of Advaita is that it doesn't ask you to believe in something. It doesn't even ask you to have extraordinary meditative or drug-induced or whatever experiences, some kind of mystical, those things are possible. But Advaita says just our day-to-day experience of being the seer and the seen, experiencing the scene, of waking, dreaming, deep sleep, all of these experiences which are made possible by awareness, that is enough to come to enlightenment. So then we notice the next step would be to investigate the nature of this awareness, that the objects of awareness change. Awareness does not change. It's there in waking, it's there in dreams, it's there in deep sleep also. These problems are always in the objects. Problems are never in you as awareness. As awareness, it's impersonal. You are the same in all persons. Just as you are awareness in Robina, in Sarvapriyananda, it's the same awareness. It's the pure consciousness or the witness consciousness. You begin to feel a oneness with everybody. As persons, we may be on good terms or adversarial, and what's even worse, sometimes on good terms, sometimes adversarial. But as awareness, we are always one. The more you begin to see this, a person, especially a person in the world, a person who is in leadership position, you're much better able to deal with your own issues first and with others. So this is a very non-traditional way of introducing Advaita Vedanta.
It's a beautiful way because it's exactly that. It's creating that gap between awareness and experience. But now the million-dollar question, how do you every day build the reflex to go inwards? How do you go inwards and remember this all day long when, let's say I'm a leader in a large organization, or never mind, if I go on LinkedIn, all I see is bad news. There's all sorts of things. There's layoffs. There's all sorts of uncertainty going on around you. And then we get completely freaked out and you forget who you are. Yes. And what do you do when you slip into forgetfulness and it's just, you don't know how to get in?
The worst thing about this world, suffering, is also a great awakener. When you say, I feel freaked out about every day about what's happening, now also at the back of your mind, you have this knowledge of Advaita Vedanta, at least theoretically, at least we have heard the talks or read the books. So you have a basic understanding. It's true. I am that awareness right now. And that awareness is having the experience of freaking out. Freaking out is in the mind, is in the person. The person is freaking out. The same awareness, which was a witness of the calm mind, the calm person, the serene person, is also equally the witness of the person who's freaking out, is in a panic. And that awareness is not in a panic. That awareness itself, my own nature, That is not freaking out. It is illumining, revealing the experience of freaking out. What I'm saying is, once one has a basic understanding of Advaita, of non-duality, then every opportunity, especially the nasty ones, the experiences in the world, they are windows, they are opportunities for turning back. Because immediately, I'm suffering. Here is a problem. I'm panicking. And what have I, immediately it'll come to my memory, what have I learned? What did I know? That there is a core to me which is not affected by that. Let me sink back into it. And then look out from that perspective. You know, this too shall pass. I have the tools to deal with it. I've dealt with, as a person, I've dealt with so many problems in my life, in good or bad ways. I can tackle this too. And I always have the security. A great philosopher once said, religion is the search for the ultimate security, absolute security. As pure awareness, you're absolutely secure right now. Nothing can hurt you there. Something can hurt your body, but something can even upset your mind temporarily. But when you are in your awareness nature, from that perspective, it's always all right. And it's not that you're escaping. You cannot escape anyway. From that perspective, when you come back to the person and then the problems of the person, you can deal with it much, much better. It's put in perspective that I am this one awareness in all beings, immortal all the time there. In the vastness of time and space, this one personality is a small occurrence. And this one problem of one personality on one day is a tiny, tiny thing. Before my majesty. You see, usually what happens is we think of ourselves as weak, small, powerless creatures who can be crushed any moment. And so we are engaged in a desperate, even if subconscious struggle. You know, like we feel that we really have to fight this world and, you know, make a place for ourselves and somehow maintain that place for ourselves. It's a losing battle. One day will be overcome. There'll be somebody richer, smarter, younger. Bodies will age, faculties will weaken. Awareness remains same and self-shining all the time. So what I'm saying is, how do you practice this? Well, once you have an insight into Advaita Vedanta, every opportunity, every panic, every anxiety is immediately as a call to awakening, is a call to go back to our awareness nature.
Yes, I love what you said. And would you recommend that this take place? This is not a practice. You know what I mean? This is not a meditation practice that you do 30 minutes a day. This is an embodiment, if you will. What helps me, Swamiji, is in the moment. I don't know how to explain it into words, but I can somehow withdraw the mind, collapse the mind, and not necessarily become the watcher, but I can realize in the moment so that all of the things that, let's say, don't go right in life, they're softer, is the best way I can explain it. It's just almost muted. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more with you. It just reminded me of something I read which Sam Harris said. He wrote that we make this distinction between life and practice. Sort of we unwittingly do. With all the best intentions, we start a meditation practice, a devotional practice, a study practice, and the mind falls into the habit of thinking, that's my practice, this is my life. And then Sam writes, but life itself is practice. Life is the practice. And Advaita is great there. If you take up a yogic practice, whether it is asanas and pranayama or yogic meditation, you can't easily combine it with your daily life. You have to set aside a time, a place, and some effort for its practice. But this awareness, quote unquote practice, it's present all the time. You don't have to go into a particular posture. You don't have to sit in a particular way and close your eyes. With eyes closed, with eyes open, it's always available. It's always constantly available. In fact, the best practice is in the middle of life. When you're driving, in the office, dealing with a difficult person, best practice. That's the best practice. Advaita is peculiarly suitable for that. All other paths, they have some kind of special practice which demands time, energy, a particular state of mind, maybe a particular place like a yoga studio or a meditation chamber, like a meditation hall. Advaita Vedanta, you can do that in a yoga studio, in a meditation hall, but you can also do it in your corporate office, and you can do it in your at home, working, relaxing. All the time it is consciousness, it is awareness only. You just turn back into that awareness. Having said that, let's not knock practice, because this is one of the dangers, the pitfalls of the direct path, is that because it's so vast. The Bhagavad Gita says this path is so vast. When there are flood waters, why would you need to go to a well or a pond? There's water everywhere. Everything is flooded. So the Advaitic non-dual path shows you something that's continuously available. However, practically, if you have done the work for some practice, you have a daily meditation practice, daily physical exercise, study, wonderful. Don't ignore that. A very wise Lama once, he said that it is true that what is in the forest is also in the city, but never neglect, never pass over an opportunity to go to a forest retreat. What is true? It is true that what you have with eyes closed in meditation is what you have in eyes open looking at the world, but never miss your meditation practice. It is true that what you are and what your guru is the same reality, but never forget to show respect to your guru. So like this, multiple warnings of people on the direct path.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny that you say that, because as you're speaking, I'm thinking of the mind and intellectual knowledge. I've never been one to read a lot. That's my thing. I read what I want to read, but no books have ever helped me realize my essential nature. I find that it's more of a hindrance because it keeps my mind cluttered with more information. And so emptying it is really what I do to realize myself. And it reminds me of meditation also. I'd love it if you could also maybe demystify meditation, because we can spend our life meditating and doing practices. I'm stressed, I'm going to do the practice. I'm stressed, I'm going to go back to the breath. But I feel like it was the mind that meditated. The mind can feel like and mistake itself to be who you are and meditate throughout life. How do you go from mind to then essential nature and do the practices not to solve a problem, but to know yourself?
What you said at the beginning, that's really important, that different people learn in different ways.
Ooh, yeah.
Some people learn from books, so that's great, but many people do not. It's just
Yeah.
more and more information. Some
Yeah.
people learn by listening, and some
Yeah.
people learn if you show them. Now, the beauty of Advaita
Yeah.
is that, when you first approach it, it just seems to be books and books and more books,
Yeah.
and lots of lectures and talk. But the beauty of Advaita is all of those books and all of those talks are not information. They are at their heart pointing to something you already have. We already have. It's already continuously blazing forth. We don't see it. Advaita just introduces us to that. In fact, there are warnings in the Upanishads. Do not study too much.
Really?
Yes. Do not the exact warning is, do not remain immersed in words, for that's an injury to the power of speech. Continuously speak, or at least to continuously read, or to continuously think in words, you're just exhausting yourself. You're missing, like pointing the finger at the moon, the classic Chinese example. And the mistake is you're showing the moon, and the person just keeps looking at your finger. It's not seeing the moon. Books are like that.
Yeah.
In Advaita Vedanta, especially, it's a finger pointed at the moon. You are supposed to see what or catch what they're trying to show us. So dependence on books is not a good thing. I remember this great teacher. Great means unknown, basically. He was a recluse living in the foothills of the Himalayas. His name was Bhikshu Shankarananda. He lived about 80 or 90 years ago. I never saw him, but somebody who did mentioned this. He used to live under a tree, literally under a tree on a cot, like a typical Indian cot.
Yeah.
And that's it. He had no place to live in. But he was a very wise man. And this person went to him and said, sir, you are a non-dualist, an Advaitin, but where are your books? You don't even have a book. The non-dualists always have lots of books.
Yep.
And this monk, Bhikshu Shankarananda, said, Oh, I have. I have 3 books which I read every day. Those 3 books are Waking, Dreaming, and Deep Sleep. They all point to me the fourth, that is waking, dreaming, deep sleep. The fourth is awareness, or the Turiya in the Advaita.
Yeah.
Every day those books are showing me I am this limitless consciousness.
It's so beautiful and a little bit hard to explain if someone isn't on this path. But whenever I listen, let's say, to your YouTube discourses, again, it's exactly what you said. It's not information and knowledge that's being thrown at me to pile on more knowledge. It's almost like pointers to my awareness, and it's soft and it's relatable. Even if you speak about the Vedas and the Upanishads, even if we don't understand what they mean, somehow you feel it, is the best way I can describe it. And it just reminds me of my essential nature more than lots of books can. I don't think books for me personally have ever done much.
Feel it,
Yeah.
notice it,
Yeah.
recognize it. That's the point. I didn't touch upon the question about meditation, which you asked earlier. Yeah. So in meditation, also the point is, in yogic meditation, in Buddhist mindfulness, in Advaitic non-dual meditation, the point always is to recognize that awareness nature and see that you are stabilized there. That's the whole purpose of the meditation.
Yeah.
The purpose of meditation is not meditation. It's not more meditation. Sri Ramakrishna, he would say, God is there with eyes closed and God is not there when I open my eyes. What kind of God is that? So with eyes closed and eyes open, if it's real, if it's the ultimate reality, it should be available to me. It shouldn't matter whether I'm in meditation or in action or just relaxing. In every state equally, that divinity, that ultimate reality, that Brahman, that pure consciousness should be available to me.
Yeah.
So meditation also is a means of pointing towards that, and pointing and dwelling and stabilizing in that. First of all, pointing, before we recognize it, it needs to be discovered. Once it's discovered, the mind will still complain. It's there in meditation. It's there when I listen to a Vedanta talk, but I lose it the moment I'm in the world.
Yeah.
And so the next task of meditation is to help us to see that we are stabilized in that, because we already are pure consciousness. We are actually by definition stabilized there. It's a confusion in the mind. It's a complaint of the mind that sometimes I have it, sometimes I lose it. Yep. True, that sometimes the mind has it and sometimes the mind doesn't have it, but that's just thinking. Awareness is always there. When I think that I have plunged into the world now, activities, tensions, and I've completely forgotten that I'm this pure awareness. Yes, but at that moment, if you're asked, are you aware or not? You forgot, you're not thinking about awareness, but are you aware or not? If you say, yes, of course I'm aware, I'm consciousness. Otherwise, how can I feel panic? How can I feel tension? How can I even see that I have a problem? It's only because I'm aware that I can see all of that. Awareness itself is unchanged. And when we unaffected. So when we drive this idea deeper and deeper into the mind again and again, the mind calms down. After some time, it begins to see its essential nature. Even the mind's essential nature is always this undisturbed ocean of awareness. Then it's all right.
Absolutely. And I love what you said about meditation. It stabilizes you there. I remember when I was having these moments of meeting Lahiri Mahasya, thinking, wow, this is great. I don't need to meditate anymore. I must be really, aware and everything must be stable, but it wasn't. And so I have to go back to practice, and I do a daily disciplined routine. It changes every day. And this is what allows me to not have that reactivity. So I'm sure a lot of people, especially in teams, you have to deal with all sorts of different people who are going through all sorts of different emotions. And sometimes people get annoyed and that tongue becomes sharp. How do you prevent yourself in the moment you're getting heated and you want to say something and you want to tell the person, no, I'm right. This is my way. How do you do it in that moment?
Yes. You said something very important, crucial, reactivity. Vivekananda said that to control the reaction demands more strength. He was giving the example of a 19th century horse carriage, which takes more strength, to let the horses run as they will, or to hold the reins and pull back. it takes much more control, much more strength to stop this reactivity, this desire to have the last word, to say something in reply to something that's provocative. Yeah. And that just worsens the situation. And we know it too. As we experience life, we often have this experience of, I wish I hadn't said that. I wish I hadn't done that. And notice the subtle thing about this regret. I am the same one who said that, and I'm the same one who now thinks that I shouldn't have said that. I'm not a different person. I'm the same person. So therefore, this reaction is at the root of a lot of trouble. And if we can learn to hold back the reaction, a good practice is to speak less. If it becomes a habit to speak less and listen more, one of the monks, a number of monks I've seen, and some I've not seen, I've heard about, in managing huge monasteries with thousands of visitors and like a magnet to people, they come with their problems. One characteristic was they spoke very little. They listened much more. Listened with their ears and with their attention and with their heart. The more the person across the desk feels that I am not his or her adversary. I am on their side. It's not that I may not be sympathetic to them, but at least I'm empathetic to them. I feel their emotion. I feel this oneness with them, and then they also feel this oneness with you. And there may be difficult circumstances where you have to give a bad work review, or turn down a proposal, or maybe even fire somebody. There's no easy way of doing that. But it is always better if you are empathetic, and empathy easily comes naturally to you if you feel this non-dual oneness with all people. This person is just like me. I'm awareness with this personality, that he or she is also awareness, same awareness with that personality. That's it.
Yeah, and active listening is such an important quality for everybody, for anyone who does anything in life, whether it's with your family, but it's not always easy to listen. We want to tell someone our 2 cents. Let me tell you how it is. Let me give you advice. Or, if I were you, I would do this. If we quickly go to I would do this if I were you. We cannot just hold space for other because there's too much noise here. And a little bit of an addition to that is when we're on the Zoom screen, right? Pretty much majority of our life, especially in organizations today, is on a Zoom screen, right? And what do we do all day? We look at the time, we're running out of time. We're thinking, oh my God, but I forgot to talk about the product that I'm trying to sell. This thing is always running, and it's so hard to be present. And so I guess this question kind of goes in the same category as reactivity. Why do we impose our 2 cents? Let me tell you how it is. How do we control that?
The reason why we do that is being rooted in a limited personality. We never examine whether it is true that I am just this person, Sarvapriyananda. The problem with just being this person, Sarvapriyananda, is I'm just one person among many, engaged in a struggle, almost an adversarial relationship with everybody else. I'm trying to, get money for myself, popularity for myself, success for myself. But when I look back and see, I'm not just this body, I'm not just this mind, I am this limitless consciousness shining through this body and mind, not as an article of faith or some cool idea, rather as a fact. It's right there, right now. The moment I see this, I relax. The hold of the personality on me relaxes. I love that saying that the person can never be free, but you can be free of the person.
Oh, I like
what that means is, as awareness, you are already free of the person. The person appears in you, plays around in you, and then disappears back into you in deep sleep or samadhi. So you are awareness. And then the person which appears, the Sarvapriyanda, the person which appears, has that much less hold upon me. And I become somewhat impartial to people. From a personality perspective, I like some people. I don't like other people. I'm scared of some people, and I want to be friendly with some other people. But as awareness itself, you see the sameness in all beings, and the desire and the timelessness of it. So the desire to react in time and say something, that lessens. that urgency of making myself felt, making myself noticeable, that lessens a little bit.
I love what you said, and it comes to mind what probably a lot of people are thinking, but I have goals to achieve. Okay, so I can recognize myself as awareness and presence and see that reflection in other and in all. I get it. Okay, Swamiji, but I have targets to make, and if I don't make my numbers, I don't have a job. So I have to chase that end result. And so we end up kind of running towards that target or whatever it is at the end and kind of start spinning on this wheel. And how does that play? How do you relax into awareness, but still get the stuff done that you need to get done and not lose yourself at the same time?
Right. And that's why I think the Bhagavad Gita was taught on the battlefield. Imagine, we talk about targets and the intensity and the anxiety of corporate life and the continuous pressure to achieve.
Yeah.
But imagine the warrior on the battlefield. That's the nastiest possible human activity.
Yeah.
Talk about targets. His target is to wipe out his enemies, literally, not corporate warfare, real warfare, which is brutal. And if it is possible to practice Vedanta, Advaita, in the middle of the battlefield, is it possible to practice serenity of mind in the middle of the battlefield and still do what you have to do as a part of your duty as a warrior? How much more it is possible for us, whether it's in corporate life or family life, to pursue goals. Yes, the warrior Arjuna in the Gita had goals, and in fact, he wanted to abandon those goals, and his master Krishna told him not to abandon those goals, but just to spiritualize it. So I'm pursuing these. Why? Because I have a job and I have to get ahead in my job. I'm being paid for it. That's the worldly way of looking at it. The spiritual way, the non-dual way of looking at it is job and personality and money and targets, all are appearances in this one unaffected consciousness. Now, how can I use goals, work pressure, even difficult situations to continuously show me my unaffected consciousness nature? Not to abandon those goals, not to abandon work. Krishna tells Arjuna wanted to become a monk and leave all of it. And when Krishna told him about this pure awareness, the Atman, Arjuna was wonderful. Well, he went, wonderful, this is great. So I want to be a monk. I don't want to do this. And Krishna said that you have to do this. You cannot abandon action. There's no sentient being, living being who can live for even a moment without action. So if you run away and stay in a Himalayan cave, you still will be doing some stuff. So why not act here from a perspective of pure awareness? All actions are the same, and all actions can be spiritualized. There is a powerful teaching in the 4th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. I think it's the 24th verse. Krishna tells Arjuna, how do you spiritualize all activities? In the, like Vivekananda said, intense calm, complete calm, pure calmness in the midst of intense activity. How? So Krishna gives you the secret. The verse is, we often repeat it before eating in ashrams. It's very well known. Brahmarpanam brahmahavi, brahmagno brahmanahutam, brahmeva tena gantavyam, brahma karma samadhina. Brahman here is limitless awareness. So in the midst of an action, the people you see, they are this limitless awareness. The instruments of action, your computers and your your office and your car with which you drive, they are also that same Brahman, the pure awareness. The people for whom you're working, they are pure awareness. And you, the one who is working, you are this pure awareness. Those who, here's the secret, Krishna says, those who see this or recognize this pure awareness, limitless awareness in the midst of action, they will become enlightened and free. So at no point, he says, don't abandon action. Don't abandon your job. Be in the middle of that, and much more glorious way of doing your job. Internally, externally, people won't notice it. They will just see that you have this curious smile on your face, but that you are more peaceful, more joyful, more relaxed. But internally, this corporate job, it becomes like meditation for you. Dealing with difficult people, it becomes like reciting mantras for you. It can happen. It can be done.
It's true. But what if someone finds themselves right now in the midst of lots of chaos, organizational chaos? Everything is moving, changing. They're afraid for their jobs. Um, what you're suggesting is just stop. Stop in the midst of that chaos. Not don't reach for a practice. Don't say, okay, I'll just do it at the end of the day before I sleep. In the midst of that chaos, you're saying maybe it even involves self-talk, to recognize, and perhaps there's something that they can stay in the moment, that who I am is not this, I'm the experiencer of this chaos. But my part B to that is, the self-talk is one thing, but how do we explain to everyone that you can change any experience, but it doesn't start from the outside, it starts from the inside in the realm of perception?
Yes, that's the crucial thing, what you said in the realm of perception. I'll come back to that.
Mm-hmm.
But I was reminded of something which, when you said stop, in the midst of that chaos, stop.
Yeah.
I was reminded of this, 30-second meditation practice. Only Americans can do that. So I'm sure it was somebody from California who invented that. And the name of that practice is called stop. So it's S-T-O-P. S stands for stop. Whatever is happening, just for 30 seconds, stop. T stands for take a breath. O stands for orient yourself. Watch what is appearing to you. Persons, people, chaos. P stands for proceed. Now go back into that stream of that moment, that little gap for 30 seconds which opened up, that stop. You just have to remember stop. Stop, take a breath, orient yourself, proceed. But now let's go a little deeper into this. In the midst of chaos and anxiety, your own anxiety and the anxiety of people around you, I'll say two things. First of all, there's a concept called vairagya, or detachment or dispassion. Why not stop and tell yourself, all right, what's the worst that could happen? I am this limitless awareness. If I do not die with the death of the body, what can happen? What's so terrible that can happen to me in this little office in this moment of chaos? Nothing is going to happen to my own spiritual nature. Yeah, but you can lose your job. There we must be courageous. I said, probably not, but it might be. Thousands of people are laid off. Thousands of people lose their jobs. What's one more person losing their job? Even if I lose my job, that's also all right. I'll find something else. It'll go on. Life will go on. Life goes on for millions of people. Why should I be so concerned and so scared for this one little person? Let's internally be courageous. We have this tendency called catastrophizing.
Yeah.
This catastrophic thinking. We often think all or nothing, that it's going to be terrible. It isn't going to be terrible. The terrible things do happen, but not so often. So once or twice in my life, something terrible might happen, but it doesn't happen every day. But the tendency is to freeze and to become tense and think, sort of, even if you don't think, you feel subconsciously something really bad is going to happen.
Yeah.
No, when I have a strong attitude of vairagya, I am ready for the worst, but the worst is not going to happen. Even if it does happen, I'm ready. I'm relaxed. Yeah. Then you're relaxed. The other point you mentioned was the very perceptive thing, that everything happens in our perception. The place to start is in our perception. Now, modern psychology works a lot on that, what is called cognitive behavior therapy. It works on our perception and our behavior. Modern, when you deal with small groups, workplace psychology, the importance of perception is very important. I mean, it's very central. It determines immediately our emotional reactions to everything. There's a saying that nobody can hurt you unless you allow them to hurt you. You might think that's not true. Hurt is a reaction from inside, and we have some amount of autonomy on whether I will or will not react in that way. The other person can say or do whatever he or she wants, but my reaction is my reaction. Yeah. A more subtle point, when we're talking about I am awareness and everything is appearing in awareness, in that case, the nasty person is also appearing in my awareness. That nasty behavior is also appearing in my awareness. I am not going to react to anything until I've internalized it. See, even the tree which I see physically, the tree does not enter into my mind or my brain or my eyes. I mean, I'd go blind in a moment. No, all that happens is light reflected of the tree comes into my eyes. And then that also doesn't remain. An image is formed. That also doesn't remain. It just becomes nerve impulses racing along my optic nerves to the brain centers. That also doesn't remain. Somehow, we don't know yet how at all. That's the hard problem of consciousness. Those electrical impulses in my brain, they become thoughts in my mind, perceptions in my mind. And that's happening all the time. Therefore, what I'm seeing is not really a tree out there. It's the impression of a tree in my mind. I'm not seeing, I'm just seeing myself, my own mind, which has taken that form. That disturbing person, that anxious situation, it's not out there. What I'm directly experiencing is within my own perception. It's I who am experiencing myself, no less than what happens in a dream. Even the worst of nightmares, it's entirely conjured up by my own mind. It's me. So what happens when you think like this is, it's not a terrible, horrible person out there. It's something that I'm seeing within myself. To calm down. Yes.
And that feeling of being offended by someone wasn't created by that person. They didn't put the feeling of offended in you.
Not at all.
But Swamiji, are they off the hook though? Do they have some accountability of bad behavior? What do you do about?
Absolutely. All this does is it enables you to control your own reactions, the problem with reactions, and then you select the best, most helpful possible reaction. I am not here to even hold you accountable for your bad behavior, but am I going to let you go scot-free? No. What is the non-dualist attitude to all other beings? The same that the one has to oneself, that I'm here on a journey towards enlightenment. So are they, whether they know it or not. What is my responsibility towards them? That everybody can be better, physically, mentally, morally, emotionally, intellectually, and spiritually. And if I can do something to push them, nudge them along that way, I will. So I can see that this negative behavior is no good for this person. I internally forgive this person completely. I'm at peace. My peace cannot be disturbed by your words or your behavior. However, if it's in my job, it's in my job description, it's in my responsibility, I will exercise all powers given to me and fulfill my responsibility. If I have to counsel this person about his or her performance or behavior, I certainly will, without any feeling of uneasiness, completely out of concern for the ultimate spiritual well-being of that person.
You said something very key, forgiveness, because when we don't understand fully what forgiveness is, more than just picking up the phone and confessing someone or saying, okay, I forgive you, but understanding that it kind of, the way I look at it is kind of frees you of attachments, almost like these attachments of people and places and things and ideas. It kind of frees you of that. But once again, it has more to do with you than the other person. But forgiveness is something that's very important at work every day, because there's always someone that says something. Even for myself, there's always someone that'll say something that I don't like. And if I keep thinking about it, it's almost like I take that person with me and you live with that person. What is the best way to practice forgiveness, especially from maybe things that happened a long time ago that you just cannot let go of?
Yes. Anger is natural and it's not bad. It's only a fool who cannot get angry. The wise choose not to get angry. There's a wise thing not to get angry, but the power of anger is there. And it's a natural reaction to injustice or to negativity. Forgiveness should become a habit. It is a wise thing to forgive. You might say that, no, that person deserves condemnation. That person deserves punishment. That'll happen in its own time. But if I have anger, even a sense of righteous anger. See, it's like a flame which I light, a fire which I light to burn that other person. But if I light that fire in my own heart, first the fire burns the place where you light that fire. Then it burns something else. If I light the fire of anger in my heart, I'm first burning myself. And then through my words or actions, I hurt other people. So no fire of anger within myself. And then you deal with it. Internally, when I forgive. Now, if I decide to forgive, will I be able to forgive? Not necessarily. Especially things in the long way in the past. There will be complexes, like a trauma, like a lot of suffering over years, which is built into a hard shell around whatever incident, whatever happened in the past. So if I just say I forgive, it will not go away. It will still be there, but it's a very good first step. First step that I'm freeing myself. I'm not really doing a favor to that person. I'm doing a favor to myself.
Yeah, you're right. It kind of reminds me of positive thinking. We think that, okay, well, I just need to replace the negative thoughts with a positive one. But I feel like that still keeps you on the level of the mind, and that has nothing to do with your essential nature. That's why I named, for myself at least, the direct path is where I start, because the mind level is something that it'll take you on a loop for the rest of your lifetime. Why you do this and why shouldn't I do this and I should replace this, and it's like you'll never get that deep to reach you. Do you know?
There are these three paths. A Buddhist teacher once told me that in a Theravada monastic path, it's a very monastic path. You'll see in those countries like Sri Lanka or Myanmar or Thailand, thousands and thousands of monks. So being spiritual is being a monk. There, the approach is strictly cut out the negativities, passion, anger, lust, greed. Just avoid them and cultivate the virtues. And it's much easier to do if you're a monk. So that's one way. And we can also practice it in our lives. But another way, in the Mahayana traditions, the second way is where everybody can't be a monk. You're a householder, you have a job and a marriage and kids and partners and relationships, money and goals in life to achieve. You're in the midst of all of it. You cannot step away. You can't renounce. Then what do you do? Then that second thing, what you mentioned, if you're in the midst of negativities, you have to have a constant practice of replacing negativities with positivities. Replace, and the Buddha's teachings are there. Conquer anger with non-anger. Conquer greed, conquer anger with peace. Conquer greed with contentment. Conquer lust with self-control. So this is replacing the negativities with the positivities. Then you come to the third path, which is the Tibetan Buddhist, the Vajrayana path, where even the negativities, those also point back to your nature as pure consciousness, which is free of positivities and negativities, the direct path. And there's no reason why we shouldn't have all of these in our lives.
You're right. You're right. They all play a part, and it depends what you resonate with. There isn't just one way. It's whatever you feel, but in the moment, and making it a part of your path. Kind of like Thich Nhat Hanh, the father of mindfulness, talks about a mindfulness practice. It's part of your path. It's not a one-off thing. It's not just going for a walk and having a mindful walk. It's everything. It's realizing who you are in each moment. It's the sensation of the glass. It's everything. But again, sometimes we're mistaken and feel that our purpose in this life is attached to our work, what others think of us, those kinds of material pursuits. What in fact is our purpose, and is our purpose not that grand to begin with? Is our purpose just knowing ourselves? Sometimes we think, no, it's being a vice president of something. Maybe that's what I came here for in this life. What is our purpose according to Vedanta?
Our purpose is, knowing ourselves is the grandest of all purposes. Much more grand than being the vice president of a corporation. Yes. So according to Vedanta, our purpose is nothing less than God realization, enlightenment. And one might say, that's big talk. That's not my purpose. No, it is. It is all our purpose, all of us. We are all trying to overcome suffering in our own way, our personal suffering and the suffering of people around us. We're all trying that all the time. That's what we are doing all the time. And we are trying to find fulfillment. In Sanskrit, this is called dukkha nivritti ananda prapti. Dukkha is suffering, nivritti is cessation, transcendence of suffering. Ananda is bliss or fulfillment, joy. So attainment of bliss or fulfillment and cessation of suffering, basically that's what all living beings are trying to do. Even if you want to become the vice president of a big company, what are you trying to do? You think you'll be much more fulfilled if you were at that position. Why do people take painkillers? Why do people drink? Why do people spend mindless hours browsing the internet or watching TV? It's all an effort to overcome suffering. So whether you are pursuing goals of money or learning or popularity or power, or you're trying to overcome physical or mental pain, all of it is the same pursuit of fulfillment and overcoming suffering. Now, what spirituality tells us, all spirituality, not just Vedanta, whether it's Buddhist, Vedanta, devotional, Hindu, Christian, Islamic, whatever, all of them, the basic idea is that it is possible to finally overcome suffering. It is possible to find deepest possible fulfillment. And that's what spirituality is all about. So that's the goal for all of us. Some of us are lucky enough, wise enough to recognize it, that spirituality is very important in life. It's central to life. Others have not yet come to this point. But for everybody, knowingly or unknowingly, the goal is nothing less than attainment of bliss and overcoming of suffering. The name for that is enlightenment, which leads to moksha, freedom, mukti, again freedom, nirvana. All of these are different names. And that moksha, mukti, nirvana, whatever name you call it, salvation, whatever name you call it, that is the purpose of life. I love this thing about Mahatma Gandhi, where he writes that, if people ask me, who am I? Some people think I'm a freedom fighter fighting for the freedom of my country against the British. Some think I'm a politician. Some think I'm a social reformer. So, and all of this is true. But if you ask me, who are you? I would say I'm a simple man in search of God. So see, that's his central insight. I am searching for God. In politics, I'm doing politics, I'm doing social reform, I'm writing, giving talks, whatever I'm doing, Mahatma Gandhi, if you ask him, it is all a search for God. And I think we should all say that. I mean, you don't have to say it outright, but we should come to the point that my goal is nothing less than infinity. My goal is nothing less than overcoming suffering, attaining enlightenment.
One of my favorite talks that you give, there's a number of videos on who am I and what am I, and not easy questions to answer. When I first sort of got on the path of self-inquiry from learning from Ramana Maharshi, I asked myself, who am I? And this answered, well, I'm the one who lives here and I do this for a living. And to quiet this down, it took a little bit of practice, but I used that process of who am I? Who do my thoughts belong to? Are my thoughts true? True for whom? And that process of sort of not dissecting, but just investigating really takes you to the source. Very powerful.
Absolutely. Until we do this, notice, I'm doing everything for this I, me, mine, but I don't even know what this I, me, mine is.
Yeah.
Unless I know it, everything that I do will leave me with a feeling of lack of fulfillment and frustration. And life is going past. Life is going past very fast. First, we must find out this one who is seeking, whether he's seeking money, is seeking a relationship, seeking knowledge, seeking art, or even spirituality. Who is the one who is seeking? What is the nature of this thing? There's this funny story about a man who came to a doctor and said, "Doctor, it hurts." The doctor said, "What hurts?" "Oh, everything hurts." The doctor was puzzled. "What do you mean everything hurts? How can everything hurt?" So you see, whenever I touch my shoulder, ouch. I touch my elbow, ouch. I touch my forehead, ouch, it hurts. And then the doctor found out that he had a broken finger. So whatever he touched with his finger, the problem was not in all of that. The problem was in the finger with which he was touching. So we must first see that if it's ouch all over the place, instead of blaming the person, the world, and even the body, even samsara, I must look first, what is it that is hurting? Who is the one who registers this hurt?
And that's it. That's it. And I know that one of the most, I guess the top 3, leadership principles that many leaders aspire to is to be authentic and real and vulnerable. And they want their team members to also be authentic and vulnerable. But how do you be authentic if you don't know who you are? It's almost like that's the prerequisite for authentic leadership, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. You can't be authentic until you know who you are, or at least have a fairly good idea. And the other part of it, vulnerable. Only the strong can be vulnerable. It is the weak, those who are anxious and afraid, who try to, who crunch up, who don't open up. They shut themselves up because they're afraid of being hurt. They're afraid of being exposed. If you are relaxed, if you are strong, then you can open up. You can be vulnerable. You're fine with it. You're fine with not being perfect also.
True. Swamiji, can you have it all in life? Can you be really rich and really aware and have all the material things and be really in service to others and be really good looking and have amazing clothes and everything that you ever want? Could everybody have all of that stuff?
Yes, but not in the way we think. The Taittiriya Upanishad, it says, where the knower of Brahman attains the highest. Brahma vidapnoti param. The knower of Brahman attains the highest. If you're enlightened, you have attained the highest. And then the question arises, what is the highest? What do I get if I'm enlightened? And the answer is exactly what you said. You get the fulfillment, the satisfaction of all desires. So ashnute sarvan kaman saha brahmana vipaschiteti. When you realize yourself with this limitless awareness, all your desires are fulfilled. However, there's a catch. You'll go like, here, I knew it. All your desires are fulfilled does not mean, when I become enlightened, so I'll suddenly be super rich and I'll be famous and I'll be handsome or pretty and people will really like me. Everybody will be nice to me. Will all of that happen and I'll be enlightened? Is that what is going to happen? No. Just that enlightenment itself, the realization of what I am, shows me that I'm this infinite luminosity, this immortal being. What I was trying to get through those things, through being rich and famous and likable and all of that, what I was trying, all of that was meant to give me this fulfillment, which I get by realizing who I am. So you are completely fulfilled. You don't now depend. Good, you may still be rich. Great, good for you. Or you may be dirt poor. It will make no difference to you. Absolutely no difference to you. You may have read all the books, or you may have read none. It will make absolutely no difference to you. You have found that for which all those books exist, all that money exists, all that competition and struggle in the world. In fact, according to Vedanta, all this entire cosmos exists for that realization. And you have got it now. The one way of describing that realization is, once you're enlightened, you have got what is to be gotten in life. You have done what is to be done in life, and you have known what is to be known in life. How beautiful is that? Why will you not be fulfilled then?
And the beautiful thing is that you can be around people who have all of the material things in the world, who could have a massive ego, but you're not disturbed by it. Yet you don't see them as worse or better or anything like that. You can be kind of like among, but not part of. That you're just among everything.
And you can deal with people in mysterious ways. I remember the story of a famous teacher, a non-dual teacher in the Himalayas. It's a true story. The group of monks sitting around this non-dual teacher, and along comes this rich merchant who sits down, and this monk, the teacher, gets up and bows down to him and makes him sit down. And it ends up that that rich merchant actually gives a talk on his views of religion and spirituality to this great master. And this great master listens to him with all humility. And when it's time to leave, he escorts that rich merchant to the door and wishes him well, most courteous. He comes back, and the students are astonished. First of all, they're furious at the arrogance of that man to come and lecture their teacher, who is this very wise teacher.
Yeah.
They say, why do you behave like that? Like other monks are visiting you and spiritual seekers. You never get up to receive any of them. Just because this rich person has come, you got up to receive him. And you teach others. You were listening so respectfully to the very mundane things he was saying. And you went to the door to see him off. Why did you show him so much respect? Then this master replied, he smiled and he said, he wanted recognition and respect from me. I gave him that. You want knowledge from me, spiritual teaching. I give you that. So he got what he came for. He's a rich man. He just wanted some recognition from a spiritual man. So that adds to his sense of importance. Very good. Give him that. You are real spiritual seekers. You have come for spiritual knowledge. So I'm teaching you Advaita, non-dualism.
It's such a powerful, life-changing path. I mean, I can honestly say that. Maybe in our last few moments, I want to talk to you about extreme stress, extreme anxiety, when you feel those waves of anxiety, kind of tying it to what the US Surgeon General talks about, the new pandemic of loneliness. I don't know if you've seen the recent articles about it. People are lonely, people are anxious, people are not doing very well. And let's say they don't know anything about Advaita, Vedanta, non-duality, nothing. What can they do to start that path of sort of traveling inwards when you're experiencing extreme stress?
The one thing is that, sometimes people who are on the spiritual path have a double problem. People who are not spiritual, in the stress and anxiety, they suffer. Those who are spiritual, they suffer twice over, because I'm suffering because of the stress, of the anxiety, and I'm also suffering because I'm spiritual. I shouldn't be suffering. I should be at peace. It's not working, so I have a double complaint.
It's true.
So no. Let it be. Just know this much. There are times when the situation is so difficult, you may react. You may even suffer and feel it, and that's all right. Just know that this too shall pass. Everything has passed in life. To you, the mirror of consciousness, the entire universe appears as a reflection. I'm quoting Shankaracharya here. Sometimes terrible things are reflected there. Sometimes beautiful things are reflected there. Mirror is completely unaffected. And remember, the reflections always pass. One thing is succeeded by the other thing, and that is succeeded by a third thing, and so on. So even this situation which has arisen, it too shall pass. I remember when the COVID crisis hit a couple of years back, the first wave, and it was the worst here in the world, in the whole world. The worst hit was New York. At that time. Yes, I was right here, and about 1,000 people were dying each day in this one city in Manhattan. At that time, somebody said, "Can you give us a talk about spirituality in the time of crisis, in the time of COVID?" I remember one thing that I said. Notice how our lives have changed. It's dreamlike. The world which we were so used to until yesterday, that shut down. Everything is shut down. Trains, buses, planes, they're all shut down. People, everything is abnormal. You can't go to your place of work. You can't go to school. You can't go and meet your neighbor. You can't go to the supermarket. And there is sickness, invisible sickness all around. People are dying all around. There is social distancing. And at that time, there was no talk of any vaccine or anything like that remotely. Nobody knew what to do with it. So our world changed overnight into this strange alien world. And the world which we're used to, that world has become a dream like now. We can't do that anymore. It's a dream like. You can't go to a cinema. It's all shut. You can't go to the supermarket. You can't go to a Broadway show. It's all shut. Right? Right here. Manhattan, Central Park, Broadway, everything has changed. So dreamlike. And I am telling you, I said at that time, I am telling you, I don't know how long it will take, a few months, a few years. Again, the world which we are experiencing, social distancing, the world shut down, sickness all around, this will also fade away into dream.
Yeah.
And now people say, you're right. Pre-pandemic world, dreamlike. The pandemic world, dreamlike. Again, a post-pandemic world. It all passes. The worst of crisis also passes. You will still be there.
Yeah. Yeah. But imagine if many people had these teachings and this knowing during the pandemic, they would have sort of went through it in a softer way. It doesn't negate, it doesn't stop the things outside from happening, but
Yeah.
you realize the outside changes and comes and goes, you remain the same.
I remember this ER doctor telling me,
Mm.
she said it was a battlefield in the hospitals.
Yeah.
We can't do anything, people dying all the time. But
Yeah.
because I had this spiritual practice of mine,
Yeah.
this devotion, this Vedantic knowledge, that really, really helped me. I saw how my colleagues suffered.
Yeah.
And I fought the same battle against death every day. And somehow it was very difficult, but I made it through because this knowledge helped me, this practice helped me.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you recommend is, let's say, the first step for someone who wants to delve into Advaita Vedanta? Do you think that maybe checking out some of your videos would be that first step, or what do you recommend?
Check out the videos. There's a wealth of material available now.
Yeah.
I would recommend two things. Read the Ashtavakra Gita, and in English translation, the most beautiful translation I've come across is Thomas Byram's The Heart of Awareness. The Heart of Awareness. It's easily available, inexpensive book available on Amazon.
Okay.
And a more extensive, powerful introduction to Advaita Vedanta and inspiring are the works of Vivekananda. Read, especially, they come in 9 volumes, but then we can start with the letters of Vivekananda, the book called Inspired Talks. There's another book called the Lectures from Colombo to Almora. There are 4 books called Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga, and Raja Yoga. So there's a wealth of material from Vivekananda. The beauty about Vivekananda is he speaks our language. He's a fully realized master in our day. Just this 100 years ago, he was here in the United States. And his words have a unique power to them. So they not only inform you, give you this wisdom, they actually inspire you. They transfer strength to you just by reading.
Oh, I love that. And that's what we need. We need things that are relatable, but that they have this power behind the words,
There's the power.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. Any parting words, Swamiji, for anyone else, for anyone who is struggling, or if any kind of guidance that you'd want to impart these final few minutes?
Just this, that if you're listening to this, you're already interested in spirituality.
True.
In that case, you stick with it. This is the most valuable thing in whatever your path is. It could be non-duality, and I hope it's non-duality, but even if it is not, if it's just devotion, if it is just, I shouldn't say just, if it's the path of bhakti, which is a beautiful path, or whatever your path is, whatever your religion is, you're already interested in spiritual life. So stick with it. It's not all or nothing. Will I get moksha, nirvana or not? You will. But right now, day to day, you will get the benefit of this. You will find very soon that spirituality gives you such benefits from day to day. It will very soon become the core of your life, the most important thing in your life. So stay with it.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much, Swamiji. This was an incredible hour, one that I was looking forward to for several months. And thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Robina. Thank you for having me.